The FCA doesn't. We talked about them last week. They were busy turning their attention to Trading 212 and other such platforms. I don't know if they're looking at Trading 212 specifically, to be honest, but they were looking at platforms in general, spamming people with kind of gamified notifications and giving them kind of encouragement to buy things that might not be in their best interests and so on. But they've got some more ideas. Hat tip to a combination of Starlight and ISA Investor from the Discord for popping this one onto our desk that I had a look at earlier today. The news from the FCA is they have decided that savers should stop sitting on cash. Why? Because that's getting chipped away by inflation. So there's around $1 trillion in deposits apparently sat in cash accounts at the moment. 428 billion of those is earning less than 0.5%. 142 billion is earning less than 0.25% annually. They think this is bad then, Steve. They think people's money is getting eaten away by inflation. This is something that... Last week I said the FCA were kind of slow to stuff. Paul disagreed with me, and he had decent reasons for disagreeing with me and so on, and we can all agree and disagree on various things, but I feel like everyone's wise after the event, but it wasn't just me who was thinking that keeping your money in cash over the last, since we started this podcast, has been a way to get it eaten by inflation, right?
well, no, but I mean, this is the thing, though, isn't it? It's like there's all these accounts out there. There's all this noise about bank accounts getting better and better and better, and savings accounts getting better and better and better. If you've got your cash, and I mean that is a lot of cash, 428 billion in 0.5% interest, 142 in 0.25. If you've got a big wedge of cash in a savings account that's paying that little interest, you need to get it moved. Do you know what I mean? There is no loyalty. You owe no loyalty to banks whatsoever, and you're protected by, so long as you go to a bank that's protected by the FSCA CS scheme, you just go to the one who pays the biggest interest. There should really be no loyalty. They're not showing you any loyalty by paying you such poor interest rates. So that money needs to get a shuffle on. It's almost like the FCA need to write to these people and say, like, you do realise, like, you can get 4% at the moment. You might get 7% if you've only got a little bit, or license. Or the FCA do I mean, we've criticised them before. They do a terrible job of promoting the good parts of the industry. I know they're here to protect us against things, but in terms of getting people investing, getting the right advice to people, they always seem to be real laggards, and this is an opportunity for them here to you know, to do good. I'm not sure the advice that they're sort of dishing out, of the headline advice is that they should start investing, is necessarily where I would want to sort of pitch my hat, but I think they definitely should be trying to focus on getting people to get themselves into the best bank deal at the very least.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, anything earning 0.25% here, I can't see that there isn't a better role for that somewhere. So either, you pointed out the FSCS protection scheme, that covers deposits up to, I think, about 75,000 per
85, isn't it?
Bank. 85, sorry, per bank in that case. So, I mean, there might be a case that you have so much money in cash that you run out over the top of that in various different banks that you're in, and the only things left for you are 0.25% banks. If that's the case, you've got so much money that you're running out of accounts to fill, to put it in, probably start investing some of that. But, yeah, so I'm with you on the idea that there must be a better place to put some of these things, and the FCA would be well advised to try and draw people's attention to that. But you're also right in thinking, I think, that the kind of proposed plan isn't really just that. Here's an extract from the article that we were looking at. Says the FCA plans to reduce the level of qualifications needed for firms to advise on some basic financial products such as stocks and shares ISAs for clients with straightforward needs. Sarah Pritchard of the FCA said, now more than ever, people across the UK should have access to useful and affordable financial products and services which can improve their quality of life and support the economy. These proposals are part of our work to deliver a consumer investment market where people can readily access support and firms aren't deterred from providing it. I can hear you sighing, Steve. What do you think about this?
Well, I just think this is not the best approach. I think this is definitely the laziest approach, is how I would say it. This is definitely, well, we all have to do the least here to do this, because we just make the qualification easier, and then, you know, we pick up the slack when, you know, inevitably people who are poorly trained to offer financial advice for a 2% fee and lose people money. You know what I mean? This is kind of the least why not have a comprehensive training program that's rolled out, and free night classes for people, and speakers at schools, and maybe even a module at school that teaches about basic personal finance and things like that, and swapping around and paying utilities. I mean, I left school and I didn't even know what a mortgage was. I didn't know how to pay a credit card bill. I didn't know how to get an energy bill. I didn't know how to pay a credit card or what the terms were, and all these things are really basic, and we should know all of these when we leave school, and it's sort of a travesty that we don't really. So lowering the qualification to get more, I guess I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring down that, you need £100,000 to speak to an advisor. If you get more people out there who are maybe more poorly qualified, you swamp the market with advisors, that goes down from 100,000 to 50 to 25. Is that the right option? That feels to me like deregulating the banks a little bit, and it was not a very good idea. Deregulation in financial institutions tends to mean bad things to me, and this seems like bad things to me. But Steve, you reached out to Tom at that finance show. Did he have anything positive to say about
it? You saw that I'd reached out to that through our account then, yes, because it's only that Instagram that I'm logged into. Yeah, the first thing I saw when I saw the idea of qualification levels for giving out financial advice coming down was, I know someone who might have something to say about that. Friend of the show, Tom Morgan, by the way, who is an excellent financial advisor and a qualified one, and his YouTube channel, That Finance Show, is fantastic. It's one of the few that I subscribe to and make sure I'm alerted to every video. I thought of him straight away, and I wonder what he's going to think, because he already is quite critical of that industry in a number of ways. He thinks there's quite a lot of dead wood that needs chopping from it. Didn't mention anything more specifically. Obviously, he didn't. But I share your view, and my instinct is that he's not going to like this very much. I'm not sure. He would know better than me. But I sent this to him about 4 hours ago now. He was online about an hour ago, and he has said nothing at all, which to me indicates that he's busy distributing proper financial advice rather than answering all my questions. He's also the person I bother when I don't understand something, and I don't recommend anyone else do the same, because hands off, he's my source of free information. But I kind of think that, from what I got your general idea appears to be that the preferred strategy would be to try and educate people to think about this for themselves, rather than provide more cheap, barely qualified, let's say, advisors or who have lower qualification levels. And I think I share that view. I'd rather people were able to do this themselves rather than needing to pay somebody else to distribute basic advice like get a stocks and shares ISA, put some Vanguard stuff in it, and away you go. Or something along those lines, basically.
And that's it, though. There's no magic bullet. These people are not going to go into a classroom and come out and learn how to invest, because that's not how it works. They're going to learn what sort of products you investing to sort of broadly diversify yourself, and how to counter a little bit of risk. That's what they're going to learn in their investing modules. And I think we're past an era now where a financial advisor is the sort of guy who rings you up and says, I've heard about this stock Apple, it's going to be really big. Do you know what I mean? I think we're past that. I think that sort of like Wolf of Wall Street style, phone call system, I think that's gone. I think the vast majority of financial advice now is about knowing the right products and knowing what to put in those products, which leaves people, broadly diversified and interested. Probably give them a little bit of play money to make sure that they are interested, and that's it. We're budgeting, I guess, and literally just planning for retirement. But I just don't think this is the right way. I think people are going to find it hard. The people who are sat with a lot of money in a 0.25% account or a 0.5% account, they're not the sort of people who are going to ring a financial advisor and take agree to a 2% fee, because they're just not used to making anywhere near that level of return, are they? They've never seen that. That to them is just going to feel like a net negative. So the money has to come out of that account. And the FCA taking strides to move people out of those accounts and be more active with that money is probably the right thing. But all the other bits around this feel all sorts of wrong.
Yeah, I think I share that view. I think what worries me the most about the proposal to find advisors is that, or to find and create more advisors, I guess. One of the things Tom said was most important in his job was helping people manage their psychology when things are starting to look a bit choppy or a bit rough. He said the main thing is to convince people they need to stay in their seat. And I think people who have a lot of money hidden in a 0.25% account are quite weak-handed. And I use the word weak as though that's a negative. I don't think there's a problem with that at all. Or dead. But I kind of think that's going to be a real challenge for people who are kind of okay with and not particularly bothered about chipping away with a 0.25% because they've either forgotten about that money or whatever, but they're clearly not thinking that carefully about where it's going. Put it in somewhere and start seeing it going down, and you start thinking to yourself, well, look, I kind of knew that was a bad idea. Why'd I go putting that in there? Out it comes. And back to looking at kind of savings accounts again, maybe some higher rate ones. But I think that's one of the concerns I have, and why I think it's that important to try and get people the tools to educate themselves here. And I agree with you that part of the system really, really fails people in this country.
Yeah, and they're trying to pass this on through the sort of brokeragey sort of platforms and bank platforms. Now they're trying to force these people to be the ones that teach you how to invest. And I think they're not always necessarily going to be the best people to teach you either, because it's not like, a HSBC, for example, is going to teach you about the wonders of Vanguard when they have competing ETFs in their platform. It's a conflict of interests, really. There's a reason you go for independent financial advice, isn't it? There's a reason why you say go to a whole of market broker, because, You want them to offer you unbiased advice, the best advice that they could possibly give you at that time. And I think passing this book, which comes in Consumer Duty when that comes through, when the FCA launched it in 2023, middle of 2023, I think that's another I don't want to use the word short-sighted, but it feels sort of short-sighted kind of way of getting it done. I think this is it's a bit like how I feel about this government at times, is that they do make the right decisions, but they don't, or they sometimes make the right decisions, but they don't follow through with it. They don't give the funding that's needed to make things happen as they should. They kind of like think, this is the direction we need to go. How can we do this the absolute cheapest way possible? And if it doesn't happen, we'll just say, well, the people weren't interested.